ladies and gentlemen, to Fan Appreciation Month here on Reaction and Review. Tonight, guys, I'm taking a look at a French horror movie from 2007. That movie is Inside. Now, I cannot tell you much about this movie. I know it has something to do with a pregnant woman being held hostage or some such idiotic shit. The only other thing I can tell you, which has been told to me by my viewers and is constantly gushed on every blurb on the case, is that this movie is gruesome and it's nasty and it is disturbing. It's this, it's this, it's this. And I know I said I was never going to cover another movie if the only reason people could give me is just, oh my god, it's so nasty, it's so sick. Because no movie has ever been able to live up to that, and every movie people have told me is so nasty and so sick has been pussy softball horse shit. Why then am I covering this? Because I forgot to take it off of the wish list after I said I'm done covering this sort of trash. And somebody sent it in anyway, so I still have to cover it. Why? Because it was sent in. Now this thing could still very well be, good. I have no idea. It also could be total shit, and that's kind of what I'm leaning towards right now. But I still have that slight hope that this thing is going to be halfway decent. And the only way I'm going to find out if this thing is any good at all is if I shut up and I push play, and I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out Inside. Well, guys, here is everything I have gotten so far out of this movie. Our main character is pregnant. Her husband or her boyfriend was killed in a car crash 4 fucking months, back, and she has the personality of fucking dryer lint. I really wish I could give you more, but so far that is all that this movie has given us. Is that our main character is pregnant, alone, and ridiculously boring. Well, guys, I'm still waiting for that tension to show up. Guys, how most horror films and thrillers are supposed to have some level of tension and all that. I'm still waiting for it. We obviously have had blood, and we've had gore, and we've got a rather thin and somewhat flimsy plot so far. But we haven't had anything close to tension, and it's really just making this movie it's making it a little bit of a bore. So instead of giving us actual tension, or giving us anything to really care about, our villain just killed Sarah's cat. The cat, by the way, was the only character in this film I actually thought was kind of likable or interesting, but that's because I like cats. So now, honestly, that the cat's dead, is there anything to really look forward to, or do I have to sit through this tedious bullshit for another 40 minutes? Well, guys, I'm happy about one thing. I'm happy that this movie is almost done. I am sick and tired of this movie just dragging on and not giving me a single reason to fucking care about anything going on screen. We had one scene that actually had some level of weight, and that was when a cat had its neck broken. Beyond that, we've had a handful of killings, we've had a whole lot of gore, but we've had nothing to make me give even half a rat's ass about any of it. And I'm getting really sick and tired of watching this thing. My god, I cannot wait for the fucking credits to start rolling. Thank god that's fucking done. Yes, guys, that was Inside. Sweet fucking god, that was bad. Okay. Wow, now to try to talk about this thing. Let's start with the writing, because I am going to continue to bang on this fucking drum until people begin to listen. If you're gonna make a horror movie, I don't care if your focus is gore, I don't care if your focus is sex, I don't care what the fuck your focus is. Alright, I do not care what your primary selling point is. If you don't have interesting characters, if you don't have any plot, if you have no character depth at all, then all of it, and I mean then all of your gore, all your sex, all your anything is a fucking waste. Behold, guys, the most wasteful use of stage blood and animal blood and, body parts and everything else I have ever seen. This movie is tons and tons of gore and no fucking story or reasonable plot to go with it. It really, guys, is fucking disgusting that something like this could be made, and nobody at any point just stood up and said, wait, your writing is shit. I'm going to try to explain the fucking writing, because holy shit, was this ever bad? Okay, so our main character is Sarah, and she's pregnant. I'm going to assume she's about 8, maybe 9 months pregnant. Of course, though, the size of her belly changes from scene to scene, so she could easily be 9 months pregnant, she could be 4 months pregnant, she honestly could be carrying a 2-year-old in there. I don't know, the size, and the fucking, size of her gut changes so often that you can't really gauge proper size at all. But anyway, she is pregnant, and it's Christmas Eve, and this lunatic nut job just breaks into her house and is trying to take her fetus. Okay. Oh, and also any other person who comes into the house is then swiftly killed off. No, guys, that seriously is the entire plot, is pregnant woman, nut job, fetal fucking theft attempt, and tons of death. That's it. Alright, and the only reason why I even know the name of Sarah is because they say her name 12 times maybe over the course of the film. At least that's how many times I probably heard it. And it just sort of sticks with you because she's the only character with any she is the only character who even has a name as far as I know. Nobody else has a... Oh wait, there was also her... I don't know, her boss, her publicist, her boyfriend. I don't fucking know what the fuck he was. I think his name was Jean-Pierre. Which, by the way, is the most typically French name I think I've ever heard, which is probably why I remember it so well. But beyond those two, I don't remember a single other character with a name, and certainly none of them have depth. The closest thing that Sarah has to character depth is she lost her husband in a car wreck and she's pregnant. That's it. Beyond the whole nutcase wants to take her unborn child. That's really about as far as her depth goes, and that still is depth on Grand fucking Canyon levels compared to every other character here who doesn't even have a name, barely has a reason to be there outside of to either be the nameless fucking screwball who wants to steal her kid, or be the hapless mountain of bodies that are left in the house by the time the movie is done. And when first asked, our villain, our fucking nameless, nutcase simply says, "I want one." Which then makes me beg the question, so why don't you go to a sperm bank, or adopt, or go on Craigslist? Do something. You don't have to steal somebody's fetus. You certainly don't have to stalk them for God only knows how fucking long prior to attempting to steal their fetus. It really is just this shameless way, and then they try to explain it at the very end, and it's such a pointless fucking explanation. It is brought up absolutely at the last minute, as if to try to salvage this fucking movie. Apparently I have a text message. Don't care. I'm gonna continue with this. The writing here, guys, is just piss poor. And everything here is done for no other reason than to basically give us more fucking reason for tons and tons of gore that didn't have to be there. This is one of the most gratuitously bloody films I have ever seen. Mind you guys, I normally have no problem with blood and gore. My problem here is that none of it is done with a fucking purpose outside of to film blood. And if you wanted to fucking do that, then bravo, you found a good way to waste a ton of fake blood. Guys, the writing here, I could probably go on for days about the fucking writing, because it's just that bad, but I'm going to give you a quick summary. Our characters here have no fucking depth. We have we have all of two characters who actually have names, and none of them have anything which is going to make you fucking care. The only character who I was able to bring myself to care about was the fucking cat, because I like cats, and when they killed off the cat just for the sake of killing off the fucking cat, then I was left with nothing in this goddamn movie. Oh my god, guys, this thing could probably have been a little bit better if it was put in the hands of somebody who knew how to write horror instead of put into the hands of some fucking gore fucking obsessed 10-year-old who doesn't know how to write character worth shit. And I don't want to hear how old the fucking writers are for that. Writer or writers, I don't know how many fucking people wrote this. I would be stunned if it was more than one. But whoever the hell wrote this, they have the mindset of a 10-year-old, where basically the only thing you need is tons and tons of blood and everything will be better. And fuck any human being who thinks that. When you're making a horror movie, when you're making any kind of movie, you need character depth. You need a reason for the viewer to care. And in terms of horror, you have to build up tension. The only way to build tension is to build your fucking characters, and if you're too fucking lazy to do that, why the fuck are you making a goddamn movie? You lazy French motherfuckers. This thing was trash simply on fucking writing. But now I'm going to try to cover everything else. Acting, I don't know. Because I decided to watch the dub of this. Why? Because I wasn't in the mood for subtitles today. The dub here is halfway decent. I mean, the dub here isn't fucking stellar, and the dub isn't perfect, but frankly, it is certainly serviceable, and that works. It doesn't help that it sounds like the same woman voicing every female character in this film. But hey, that's totally fine. I was still able to figure out who was, talking, so I don't care. So I couldn't tell you how the acting in the film proper is. I can tell you that the dub is halfway decent, which is certainly better than most other films I've covered here. So you know what? At least honestly, that there is a positive. Lighting here is pretty good. Gore. I might as well touch on gore, since that honestly is the only thing the filmmakers cared about. The gore here is pretty good. The only thing which I would have to question is exactly how much blood is pouring out of some of these people and they're still alive. There honestly is probably just a little bit too, there really is just a bit too much blood for what happens here. And it turns a film which is supposed to be dark and serious and all that, it turns it basically into just this goofy, almost fucking cartoonish thing, simply because there's so much goddamn blood. And this, guys, is also why you have to care more about writing than you do blood. Because, guys, this thing here would probably have also been a little bit better if characters weren't literally bleeding out gallons of fucking blood when the body doesn't have that much blood. Anyway, and it really just sort of makes the whole thing almost fucking like comical and stupid and goofy, which is weird because the movie is trying to be brutal and, it's trying to be brutal and horrible and nasty, but really it's just stupid because, well, besides the fact that the writing is shit, there's way too much fucking blood. There is just way too much to naturally be there, and it's just kind of bothersome, at least to me it is. CG. I have to touch on CG. There are two things here I'm going to talk about. We first have the CG involving the fetus, which looks really good, because we get tons of shots of the fetus, moving around or being friggin', jolted and jarred around. It looks really good. In fact, it actually is probably the best thing about this movie is the CG involving the fetus. Then we get to the other bit of CG I noticed. Right towards the end, Sarah is able to fashion a flamethrower out of a lighter, a spray can, and the shittiest CG flame I have ever seen. It really, guys, just looks awful, especially when compared to the awesome fetus CG and the and the decent, if not fucking horrifically over fucking done blood. It really is the one effect which stands out and looks terrible. Makeup effects here also look, really solid. I mean, it's really, guys, it all just sort of boils down in terms of special effects to there being just way too much blood, and that god awful flame right towards the end. Otherwise, guys, special effects here are functional and decent. And also, once more, the whole thing with blood. There's just way too much here for anyone to actually take this thing seriously. Music here is just hideous. Music here, in most cases, is just noise. It normally basically is just the same note, repeated again and again and again and again, and I'm going to assume that was them attempting to build up tension, and instead it just made me hate the music more because what's in this movie barely passes for music. Camera work. Camera work here is really good except for one scene, which is when our lunatic is trying to smoke a cigarette, and for whatever reason we are treated to everything from the camera fucking jittering to jump cuts and flash cuts, and the footage occasionally being sped up. Apparently, all of this was probably made to make us think that the character is bonkers and that she's just sort of having a little bit more of a fucking psychotic break. But honestly, it doesn't help any, and really, guys, it just sort of makes your film look cheap, shitty, and stupid. And guys, when all is said and done, that actually is the best way I can sum up Inside, is cheap, shitty, and stupid. In fact, guys, stupid is being way too fucking kind. This movie is the most retarded thing I think I have ever seen. I honestly have seen a whole lot of movies, guys, where people have told me, oh, fuck me dead, it's just so nasty and gross and this and this. All of those are looking like solid gold. Well, most of them are looking like solid gold compared to this piece of shit. It had no life, it had no soul, it had no character depth, it had fucking cartoonish levels of blood, which actually kind of takes fucking away from the brutal fucking atmosphere this movie was trying to build. Ultimately, guys, Inside is a fucking waste, and I would not recommend it to anybody. And God help me, I am done, officially, covering any more of these inane, stupid, lame-ass, pussy boy bullshit, gross out, and disturbing films. None of them have been, none of them will be. No movie will ever be truly fucking will ever be disturbing if this right here is the best which filmmakers can give us to pass off as fucking disturbing. This thing was fucking trash, and the people who worked on it should be fucking ashamed. This thing is garbage, and the sooner I have it out of my house, the fucking better. Now, because it is Fan Appreciation Month, Inside slithered its worthless ass off of the Amazon wish list. The person who sent it in was Kevin from YouTube. You can find his YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/KMBrooksbank. Kevin, thanks, dude. I honestly had no idea if this thing was going to be any good. It wound up really sucking, but I honestly would not have known that if you hadn't have sent it in, and for that I do thank you. Once more, that is youtube.com/user/KMBrooksbank. Now, I was promised a good gore film, and god damn it, I'm gonna go watch one. I think I'm gonna go marathon a couple of the Saw movies, because at least those know how to do gore well and know how to develop their fucking characters. I'm going to continue to bang on that too. No horror movie can be good if your characters don't have even the slightest bit of depth. If the viewers don't fucking care, then you wind up just boring the viewers, and you wind up with trash like Inside. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.